something shifted in Zimbabwe. Why everyone suddenly is talking about Chiwenga again. So, hello, Mese, Mruzandini Super Nexus wenyu, and welcome back, Pamzindavan, the home of Zimbabwean politics without the boring parts. If you are new here, subscribe because this is where Zimbabwe's biggest political stories come to life. Now, let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed that sometimes one speech can disappear into thin air? And then another speech has the whole country acting like political detectives overnight. Well, that's exactly what has happened with Vice President Constantino Chiwenga. Over the past few days, his name has exploded across political discussions once again. WhatsApp groups are buzzing, Facebook is buzzing, political analysts are busy. Even people who normally avoid politics are suddenly asking one question. What exactly did Chiwenga mean? It all started after the vice president made public remarks touching on Constitutional Amendment Bill number 3, commonly known as CAB 3. During his address, Chiwenga referred to biblical teachings and suggested that constitutional changes of this nature should have involved broader public participation through a referendum. Now, that single statement immediately set Zimbabwe's political world on fire. Some people heard it and thought, that sounds like a constitutional argument. Others heard it and said, no, there is a deeper political message here. And then and then came social media. You already know how Zimbabwean social media works. Some people don't even wait for the speech to finish. By the second sentence, they have already written the headline. By the third sentence, they have become constitutional lawyers. By the fourth, they have predicted the next election. Oh, that's Zimbabwe for you. Soon after Chiwenga's remarks, politicians, commentators, and activists began offering completely different interpretations. Some described the speech as a defense of constitutional principles. Others argued it reflected concern about how CAB 3 is being handled. For example, opposition activist Jacob Ngarivume publicly interpreted Chiwenga's speech as a coded appeal to defend the constitution. Although that is his interpretation rather than something Chiwenga explicitly stated. And that is where the story became even bigger. Because once different people begin interpreting the same speech in different ways, the debate becomes much larger than the speech itself. One thing nobody disputes is that CAB 3 has become one of Zimbabwe's most closely watched political issues. Supporters argue the proposed changes are necessary. Critics believe they could have significant constitutional implications. That is why every comment from senior political leaders is now being examined line by line. Even a single sentence can dominate national conversation. Political observers say Chiwenga's remarks stood out because he rarely makes comments that trigger this level of public analysis. So when he did, people listened. And when people listened, the speculation started. Obvious. So Zimbabweans have become experts at reading between the lines. Sometimes they read so far between the lines, they find paragraphs that were never written. That's the fascinating thing about politics. The words are public, the meanings are debated. Whether Chiwenga intended to send a broader political message is something only he can answer. What is clear is that his remarks have reignited discussion about CAB 3 and Zimbabwe's constitutional future. So now the big question is no longer just about what was said. The question is, what happens next? Will the debate calm down, or will every future speech by Chiwenga now receive the same intense scrutiny? One thing is certain, Zimbabweans are watching everything very closely. And whenever one of the country's senior leaders speaks on an issue as important as the constitution, the conversation is unlikely to end quickly. What do you think? Did Chiwenga's remarks simply express his view on constitutional procedure, or do you think Zimbabweans are reading much more into the speech? Leave your opinion in the comments below. If you enjoyed this report, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Ndini wenyu, Super Nexus, Pamzinda 1. Peace.